folks, before we start this video, don't forget, tonight, 7 p.m., live Q&A number 3, moderated again by my beautiful wife. So bring your questions, folks. See you tonight.
Hey folks, how you doing? Kambotrout here. So for today's video, people have been asking for me to show you my kayak setup, my fishing setup. So from kayak to vest to GoPros, I'm going to fill you in on exactly what I use today, how I have it set up, and why. So first things first, we're looking at right here is the 2018 Old Town Predator PDL. Now, I really can't say enough about this kayak. I love it to death. It's like the only downside, the only criticism I have for this kayak, which is kind of unavoidable for the other features you want to have with it, is just the weight. And really, that wouldn't be an issue if I didn't rooftop my kayak. But I do rooftop my kayak, so lifting 100 pounds over my head is doable by myself, but it's always a risky maneuver as well. Starting from the rear, what you have here at the rear is the rudder system. That goes to a handle up here on the left. Every time before you're getting ready to launch, make sure you remove this little stow cord right here. And when it's in stow position, that's where we'll keep it from coming out, banging things. But if you forget, it's going to be awkward. It's doable, but it's going to be awkward from the seat to reach around and pull this thing off with your paddle. It's doable, but easier to just remember when you launch to remove it. Like I said, the handle is up here. Want to go left, go left. Want to go right, go right. Keep an eye on the screws in the back, because over time they'll loosen and you can lose screws, and you'll feel that looseness in the rudder as you're using it. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But other than that, it's a great rudder system. Now, the 2018, I believe the rudder is made of aluminum, but the 2019 and forward, I think are made of plastic. So check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. Now the PDL drive itself, right here, the PDL drive it's smooth as butter, man. It's like, I've heard other guys say with other models of kayaks out there that the legs will get tired using their pedal drive. You can pedal this thing, it's a propeller system by the way, but you can pedal this thing all day long and not get tired. It's crazy how smooth the PDL drive is. Just insane how smooth it is. Now, as far as storage compartments go, you have one here in the front. It's a simple lock, unlock, and there's a lot of room in here. They give you a little bag right here if you want to store things in there to keep them cool. And aside from the large storage compartment in the front, in the back underneath the seat right here, you also have more storage where you actually have a hatch cover. I had a hatch cover here, but then my kids left it unlocked one day unbeknownst to me, and now I don't have a hatch cover anymore because it went flying down the highway somewhere. Didn't realize it till I got home. So always check your gear as you load up, and especially check it after your kids touch it, man. But in the back, I'll have my milk crate here. Now, you can buy milk crates. You might be able to know somebody you get one from. But the main thing I use to carry my lures when I'm on the water, I'll store some in my vest here, but the vast majority of it I have in my Plano roll-up bag, because this thing, it's just so easy when you want to reach for a lure or put a lure away really quickly. If you're in a hurry, it's great because you can fit a lot of stuff in here, and it's very easy access. Very easy access. Now on the PDL, in terms of what you get stock, if you will, you're going to have 2 rod holders in the back, here and here, and I've added 2 more rod holders in the front. And when it comes to adding things on here, you can actually drill to add a rail system, or you can drill to add the items directly. Just depends on what kind of gear you're using. And for both of these rod holders, I will list the brand and the link to them in the description. On the side down here, you have your paddle holder. If you're going through some thick cover, like your spatter dock fields, if you're snakehead fishing, I highly recommend using this little rubber piece they have to lock that paddle in there, because I do know guys who've lost their paddles inside of spatter dock fields, and you won't know it until it's too late and you gotta go back and find it. If you've been watching me and my snakehead fishing for any amount of time, I highly recommend a net, deep and rubberized. You can see kind of how deep this thing is. You need that, especially with your bigger snakehead, to keep them from flying out of it. Link in the description. Now when I'm snakehead fishing, I don't often take a fish finder with me. You just don't need it. They're shallow water fish. But when I'm doing other kinds of fishing, cat fishing, perch fishing, I will have a fish finder with me, and what I use is the deeper system, the deeper chirp. Now some key points with the deeper chirp here. I've bought an arm for it that's easily attachable and detachable from your kayak. It's just a thumb screw pressure system to hold it on. But one important note here is the safety leash. Tie that off to something that's not going to be able to be taken off or slide off. That way, if for whatever reason, this entire arm system up here comes loose, you kick it accidentally, a fish hits it, it falls in the water, you don't lose the whole rig. Because the deeper itself floats, but not with all that extra weight on it from the arm. So definitely get a system to tie that off. Have that safety leash attached. Now for the propeller system here, there is a good note. There's a shear pin inside of there. Now, if you've seen some of my older content, I have managed to break that shear pin once by trying to go really fast to catch up to see one of my buddy's fish and help him with it. So I recommend carrying a multi-tool and an extra shear pin to make sure that if it does break on the water, you're able to replace it. All right, it's still a dicey maneuver anytime you're dealing with little pieces of hardware, swapping those out on the water. But while you can paddle this thing, it's a bit of a chore, man. It's a big boat, and the well that you have in here, the water gets pushed up into the kayak as you're paddling, and that makes it harder to maintain and gain momentum as you're out there on the water trying to paddle it. Now the seat here is pretty darn comfortable. I can sit in this thing all day long, really, with no issues. But I have heard some complaints about the bar down here being in people's backs. If that bothers you, it doesn't really bother me. But if it does bother you, I recommend getting like a pool noodle and just wrapping it that way, and that should take all that pressure off of your back. But folks, that's it for the kayak itself, I think. If you have any questions about anything that I missed, just let me know and I'll try to cover it. You will want a wheel carrying system for it. I'll leave a link in the description to my system that I use. But for right now, let's get into the rod and reel setup.
Now I had some audio issues right here, folks, but just to voice it over. The basics for the rod and reel setups that I use, I prefer spinning reels because they can take up line a lot more quickly. And that's important when you're setting the hook on a snakehead, because a lot of times they'll come right at you. When that happens, if you can't take up line quickly, you can lose that fish, especially with their massive head shakes and very hard mouths. You got to keep that tension on. In terms of the reels, I prefer between a 3000 and 4000 series reel. And for the rod, about a 6 foot, 6.5, up to about 7 feet. Medium heavy, fast action rod. Most of the lures I use for snakehead, that's the best setup to use, whether it's a topwater frog, topwater mouse, swim bait, chatterbait, spinnerbait. They all work well for those in my opinion, but if you have any other experience, by all means let me know. And just as I said, when it comes to a spinning reel being able to take up line quickly, it's incredibly important to have medium heavy, at least in my opinion, strength to your rod, because when they dive down to that hydrilla or other cover, you have to keep that tension on. If you can't keep tension on, they're gonna get off. And the last note I'll make here is that my favorite rod is the custom rod I got from Katie Lynn Custom Rods. If you've seen my 16-pound snakehead video, that's the rod that I tangle with that beast on. I love the ergonomic grip, the action, the sensitivity, the durability, the microwave guides, all around great rod. As far as fishing line goes, I prefer to use usually between 20 and 30 pound braid. I prefer Suffolk braid. But with that being said, I know guys who use 50 a lot. I just prefer 30 more because I've never really had any break off issues, and I get more castability than I will with the 50-pound braid. Also, while you're out there, I recommend you wear some long gloves. It helps keep your wrists from burning. It's a small spot on your body, but just gets annoying when it gets a sunburn on your wrist and nowhere else, man. Have a face buff or a neck gaiter. It can protect your face from the wind, from sunburn as well. Same goes for the back of your neck. I wear a boonie cap. It keeps a lot of the glare off of me, allows me to see better, and always have your polarized lenses, of course. Polarized lenses are absolutely crucial to you being able to see underwater structure as well as the fish. I carry kitchen shears. These are serrated blade shears, and I use those to bleed fish on the water. If you're not familiar with that, you reach these particular pair of scissors underneath the gill plate of the fish. It helps to drain the fish of blood, makes for easier cleanup, and will help you to actually kill the fish more quickly. It's less suffering for the actual fish. Now for the two cameras I use here, the first one is the GoPro Hero 7 Black. That's the head-mounted camera. I use that to capture the action because my head's able to swivel back and forth, and being able to pan like that and direct your eyes and the eyes of the audience to the particular action you want to focus on is super valuable. But on that note, I also have the GoPro 360 Max, and that is one phenomenal camera because of course you have a 360-degree field of view. It's just incredible. The only thing I don't like about it is that I can't turn it on and off with my voice. Once it's on, I can give it various commands, but I can't turn on with my voice. I would really like you, GoPro, to resolve that one issue. Now, the last thing I want to cover for you here is the setup of my fishing vest. XPS brand vest. I don't think they carry them anymore in Bass Pro. I've had it for a while, but I'll leave a link to something similar in the description. In terms of what I usually keep with my vest, let's go through the big items. Now, I'm prior military, so I love D-rings, man. You can clip so many things off the D-rings. They're just so damn useful. You can see I have another D-ring here on my stringer, right there. But, going straight for the lip grippers, these are Bass Pro brand lip grippers. These are the Econo scales. The thing I love about these lip grippers is that they can twist. Because if you've ever seen a snakehead death roll, you know they twist. So whether you want to keep from hurting the fish or you want to keep from losing the fish, it's best to have a pair of lip grippers like this that can rotate. And make sure you put a float on them. If you don't have a float on there and it goes in the water with a fish, or goes in the water, period, say goodbye to it. But when you're dealing with snakehead, there's a good chance they're going to jerk it out of your hand or just go completely ham and you'll drop it. You'll drop it, they'll get off, it's a mess. Make sure you have it tied off, okay? Another great thing to always have on your vest, hemostats. All right. Now these are made more so for trout fishing and small panfish, but they sell these in bigger models. I need to upgrade. These are good for snakehead, but they're not great for the really big snakehead because they're not long enough to get inside the mouth without putting your fingers in danger. I like to keep a knife on my vest for a multitude of reasons. This right here is the SOG. You can see I've been using it for bait lately. I need to clean this poor thing. This is the SOG Seal Pup, but I keep that for cutting line, cutting small branches I get snagged on. I mean, theoretically, it could be used for protection, but I've never had to do it for something like that. But just have a solid knife on you. There's so many uses for knives that it's too difficult to enumerate everything that could possibly happen that would make you want to have a knife. It has these two storage compartments, big ones here and on this side. Right now I have a fly case in there. It has pockets in the bottom left corner, right along here, as well as the bottom right corner over here. And I do like to keep a multi-tool on me. Multi-tools are extremely important. You never know when you're going to need like an actual set of pliers. Like for instance, I told you before that I had a shear pin break once on my pedal drive. And if I hadn't had pliers, or if I didn't have pliers, I wouldn't be able to go in and take that nut off and do a lot of the things that actually need a good pair of pliers for. So carry a multi-tool with you. It also has the two pockets up top. Those work well for hooks, sinkers, odds and ends of various kinds. But the biggest point is, folks, wear your PFD, man. Get a PFD that also doubles to hold a little bit of tackle for you, so it's multi-purpose. But wear a PFD. It's like you never know what's going to happen. I mean, even these rocks that I'm standing on here, I slip, I fall in the water. There's a million scenarios. You never know when a rogue wave might come out of nowhere, especially for fishing big water like the Chesapeake. Wear your PFDs. Especially when it's cold out. There's so many reasons when the water temperature is down. There's so many reasons to wear it. Wear it, man. Wear your PFD. But I think that wraps things up, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good one.